What is good, everybody, man? Welcome into the Bluebloods, the official podcast of FCS Football Central and SI Fan Nation. We are starting our FCS NFL Draft Prospects Spotlight, man, and we are joined here today, South Dakota State offensive lineman Garret Greenfield. This guy's done it all. Three-time FCS All-American, two-time unanimous consensus All-American, three-time All-Missouri Valley Conference, just got done dominating the Shrine Bowl, and one of the top NFL prospects coming out of the FCS this year, man. Garret, appreciate you hopping on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, man. I want to start here, man, because I was down in Frisco this year for the FCS National Championship. I've been there the past 2 years. And talking to Zach Hines, talking to Mason and some of the guys about their decision to come back, to go back to back. What was your process like? Did you know, was it ever a consideration of going into the draft last year? Did you know you still had more you wanted to accomplish at South Dakota State?
Yeah, going into my fifth year, it was kind of in my head, not really knowing if that was going to be my last year or not. But then, I think made my decision to come back like in November or something like that. So, fairly early, I guess. As far as, all the other guys who announced they were coming back, I think they did it a little bit after that. But so yeah, kind of going throughout the year in 2022, I was a little bit in between, but as the season rolled on, I kind of started to. It became a lot more clear, what the right move was going to be, and for me to come back, knowing all the guys that we would have coming back and the team we would have coming back the next year, and we would have a really good shot to do it all again and do something even more special and go back to back, after winning the first one in school history. So, like I said, it kind of became more clear to me. As time went on, and then, obviously looking back now, it was one of the best decisions I ever could have made.
This is an interesting question. Everyone talks about how hard it is to win that first one. You talk about the first national title in school history 2 years ago, but then the difficulty to go back to back when that target is on your back. In your opinion, looking back now with some hindsight, which one was more difficult for you? In your opinion, was it breaking through and winning that first one, or was it going back to back?
That is a good question. Because I think there's each one of them has their own set of unique challenges. But for me personally, I think going back to back was definitely harder. Just because pretty much from the second we won the first one, everybody's like, well, yep, it's the Rabbits trophy to lose next year too. So, basically from when the confetti fell in 2022 all the way till when we won it here a couple weeks ago, it was all the pressure was on us. Everybody just like didn't give anybody else a shot. It was championship or bust, 15-0 or bust type of season. So, all those expectations and all that pressure, can really add up to be a lot. But I think that, goes back to, it says a lot about the team we had. We didn't let any of that factor into what we did on a day-to-day basis. And I can truly say that none of the outside noise affected anyone in the building. And, we handled all those expectations and that pressure with such maturity, with a business-like mentality. And, obviously we got the job done. But like I said, all that pressure and all those expectations, in the wrong scenario could, impact some teams in a negative way. But, like I said, that's just what makes us special is all that outside stuff didn't matter to us at all.
I look at the offensive line unit as a whole, man. You guys have, because I played offensive line and I love offensive line play, and chemistry is so big. People can have all the stars and have all the talent in the world. If those guys don't get along, they don't have that chemistry, it's not going to work. Talk a little bit about the relationship inside the offensive line room. I know you, Mason, go way back, came in together, were roommates. Just talk about the relationship between all the guys in that room, though, throughout the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, man. And you just keep talking about that, I can't help but smile. Those are all my best friends. Those are my brothers, and the relationship that, we all had was, you really can't describe it. It was just such a pure and genuine connection. A lot of laughing, a lot of, goofing around, having fun, stuff like that. And, a lot of going out to eat just because, we're a lineman, that's what we do. But, obviously we knew when to get down to business too. We knew when to work, and Coach Olson always demanded the best out of the O-line room, and I think we brought it every day and tried to give our best to him. But yeah, like I said, it's a great room, full of a bunch of great guys, and just one of my greatest friends. And like I said, the love and genuine connection we all had with each other, obviously translated to the field, but it'll continue well after college football for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the line next year. I feel like you being a consistent All-American, Mason being a three-time All-American as well. You guys got a lot of the talk, but I think next year, man, I don't think people gave Gus enough credit at center for what he
No,
did last year.
100% agree with you. Gus doesn't even get near the respect that he deserves. I mean, he won the Remington, and he's a second team all conference player. So all that kind of is what it is. But he works his butt off. He's done a great job to get where he's at now. And I know even after this last year, all the success he had, I know he's even hungrier and he's working even harder than he has in the past. So he doesn't let any of that get to him. He doesn't let any of the accolades, anything like that, dictate anything. But I think he's without a doubt the best center in FCS. And I don't really think it's close. But there's a lot of guys in that room, who maybe don't get all the praise and attention that they deserve. John O'Brien was a fantastic player for us. And he didn't get any postseason, all conference, anything like that. But none of this would have been possible, without him in the lineup. Then Evan Berenson has come a long way as well. Just watching him on tape, he plays extremely hard and he does a lot of good things, and he just comes to work every day. So other than next year, yeah, there's a lot of young guys ready to step up and get their shot. Obviously, some of those six guys have been there for so long, so where they finally got old bones out of there, and it's fine. They have their opportunity now to jump in the lineup and show what they can do.
Yeah, man, it's awesome hearing all you guys talk about each other and just try to give each other, like, you guys always pass off the credit to the other one, man. Everyone gets a little bit of shine talking to all you guys. You mentioned Coach Olson. I want to kind of split this question into two because you came in under Coach Eck. He coached you for a few years, and then Coach Olson stepped in when obviously Coach Eck went and took the Idaho job. How impactful were those two guys on your development as an offensive lineman from high school to who you are now today as a player?
Yeah, I mean, they were huge. I mean, when sitting here today without either one of them, they were huge in my development. They're both, fantastic coaches, and they're going to do great things, which we've already seen. But Coach Eck recruited me out of high school, obviously, and those first couple of years, there's kind of a learning curve, trying to learn how to play college football and stuff like that. And he's very patient with me, and he kind of he saw me for what I could be, and he like that every day to really push me to be my best, and get everything he could out of me to develop me into the player that I was. And none of that was by accident. And like I said, it was a long process, and he was very patient with me. But you could just see how much he cared. That means a lot to me. What he saw in me from such a young age. Maybe when I was struggling, as a true freshman, or a redshirt player that second year. There's a lot of growing pains that come along with that, and that's how you get better. But just him sticking with me, and always telling me, he's like, you're going to be a great player. Just stick with it, stuff like that. So his belief in me and how he pushed me to be a better player was something I'll always be grateful for. And Coach Olson, same with him. So he took over. I had him for my fifth and sixth year. So for a lot of guys, they maybe think there's not a lot more they can do, once they get to, their fifth and sixth year, senior. But, he never let any of us get complacent, no matter what you did in the past. He always said, he's like, no, nobody cares. I don't care. Like, we got to get better today. And I mentioned here, he demanded our best. And, he was a hell of a coach for me. He made me better in my last 2 years. Like I said, keep just continuing to push me, never letting me get comfortable, get complacent with anything. And, just picking his mind, asking about stuff. And, I have a great relationship with both those coaches. And, I just can't say enough good things about both of them. They were both, huge in my development.
you come into the offseason as one of the top prospects. I mean, I've seen people even say or as early as a day 2 draft pick in some projections by some experts. You went to the Shrine Bowl and got to play with some of the top talent in the country. I mean, South Dakota State had more players, I think, almost any program in the country represented, which is crazy. But looking back now, how would you grade your performance and what was your biggest learning experience from that week over in Frisco?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if I'd give it a grade. Overall, I think I was pretty happy with how I did. Looking at I think all of the South Dakota State guys who were down there really did a lot of good stuff and helped themselves out in a good way. But yeah, it was an awesome opportunity. It was a great week. Everything was first class, and it was a lot of fun. Sharing the field with those guys. One more time, getting to wear the rabbit helmet one more time. And then we had great coaches down there. Learned a lot of new stuff, new techniques. Obviously, getting to compete with all the top guys from across the nation, and kind of like I said, go out represent South Dakota State one last time, and show that we can play with those guys too, and show that there's a lot of good ball players that come out of the FCS level.
Yeah, I got to talk to Zay and Ryan and Dylan over at the Senior Bowl, and they talked about the chip that they brought in on their shoulder. And for me, and I want to say it was either Zay or Ryan said it too. They hate the term small school prospect because at the end of the day, you guys are all the top prospects coming out of college football, regardless. How big was the chip on your shoulder when you got to see those Power Five helmets, those FBS helmets? You're like, man, this is my chance to go and show that we're no different than these guys, even though there's a wide belief across the media that there is a difference.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, anytime you talk about FCS guys, that's always the first thing they ask is like, well, how are they going to do against, at the FBS competition and stuff like that. And obviously, as well as I do, there's a lot of people that played at the FCS level. So I would say that chip was pretty big. Like kind of like what those other guys were saying. Small school. I don't really think that's true. I mean, you look at the success that we had at South Dakota State, like that's a high level of performance, no matter which way you slice it. So um, obviously it's a big chip. Weren't the top rated, guys coming out of high school. They didn't have a ton of offers, and they took what they had and they made the most of it. So, I think that's still the mindset going through all this. You don't let anything else really bother you. You just you show up, you become prepared, and you come ready to work. And then, at the end of the day, you're playing football. So, but yeah, like I said, I think that chip's kind of always been there. For a lot of those guys coming from, FCS schools, stuff like that, just because of maybe how they were recruited out of high school, and then now it's kind of starting all over again. So yeah, I just think that chip's there for everybody.
You had going back and watching, I still had access to the practice highlights and stuff like that. You played a lot of different positions throughout the week, whether it was tackle, guard. Did you feel comfortable? Do you feel comfortable playing any position across the line, or is there one where you would like to kind of settle into at the next level?
Yeah, I had played guard for the first time at the Shrine Bowl, for a day or two in a couple of the practices, and that was the first time I'd done it, so it definitely felt a little new at first. But just with anything, and the more reps I got doing it, better I felt with it. I can really confidently say that I'd be comfortable playing anywhere, either side, tackle or guard. I think would be just fine for me. And that's something a lot of teams are looking for, to be flexible and to want to plug in anywhere you need to go. So both sides feel good just because I'd had so many reps in college, 2 years at right and 2 years at left, and then getting some of that guard, those guard reps at the Shrine Bowl, kind of get a feel for how that works. So yeah, honestly, any one of them I think I would be comfortable with.
Was there any, obviously you get to interview with all the teams at these all-star games. What was the feedback you got in those on those from the teams in those interviews? And were there any teams that really stuck out to you throughout the process at all?
Yeah, so kind of like you said, you kind of meet with everybody, at those all-star games, kind of like a speed dating routine.
Yeah.
You talk with a lot of them. They just ask you a lot about yourself, how you grew up, stuff like that, just to try to get know you a little bit better. So, there was a handful of teams that maybe you could tell you who were having a little more of a two-way conversation with, and stuff like that. So I would just say that.
when you look at South Dakota State, you guys have a really the fraternity of NFL players in the league right now is growing at an exponential rate. I mean, even yourself, Mason, Zay, both the Yankee twins, Zach Conzi, all are probably going to get shots at the next level this upcoming draft. Have you talked to any of the former guys that you played with that are currently playing at the next level about the process and about what to expect as a rookie?
Yeah, definitely. I reached out to Tucker a couple times just to try to pick his brain about, how these next couple months are going to go, and if he has any advice, and what he learned throughout doing all this stuff. And I talked with Sodokin a couple times, and shout out Chris, just back to back with the Chiefs. So that was pretty awesome to see. But Pierre Strong, me and Mason have, reached out to him a little bit. So, definitely doing what we can to, pick their brain, see what their thoughts are and, all this in the next couple months, and, just anything that they, wish they'd done differently, or, if they did it all over again, if there's something they would change, stuff like that. So just to, try to get all the facts and, go from there.
When you look at your game, are there any current NFL offensive linemen that you kind of look up to or try to model your game after?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously O-line. I kind of like when I watch football on TV, I always watch like the line play. I don't really see the game. So there's so many guys you could pick from that do it at a high level. But some of the ones I really like to watch, Tristan Wirfs in Tampa Bay. Just I really kind of followed him when he flipped from right to left as well. He posted an article about he had kind of had a little difficulty with that first. So that can help me my transition as well. But he's such a great athlete and so powerful. So watching him, he does at such a high level. There's a lot of things you can pick up from what he does. Brian O'Neill is another big one for me. I just think he's a very smooth athlete. He moves really well, and I just try to model myself after him. Just trying to be fluid in all your movements and keep providing good positions out the best you can. So I think those are kind of the two big ones that I really enjoy watching as far as NFL guys.
When you look from true freshman Garret Greenfield to the guy I'm talking to now in this interview, what is the biggest evolution that you've seen in your game from freshman year till now?
Well, there's a lot. Freshman year, I think I was about like 250 and kind of just a little 18-year-old kid who really didn't know how to play a line yet, to be quite honest. So there's a lot I could go from, but I just think the physicality that I play with, and just the attitude that I bring to the game, and just having fun, and just playing hard, playing physical, and having fun doing it. And my technique has cleaned up so much, but that's just part of it. Going through all those reps, all those practices, that's just all how it all comes together. And crispens up a little bit, but there's so much that looking back over the years, just kind of got to laugh at it now. Like sometimes I'd go back and watch film from like a spring ball practice, my redshirt freshman year, and I'm almost like sick to my stomach. I'm like, God, that looks absolutely terrible, but so it's all part of it. But I'm very proud of how I developed over the years, and I couldn't have done it without such a great place like SDSU and a great coaching staff who believed in me and pushed me.
A few quick hitters, man, as we can wrap this one up, man. One-on-one, what's the number one mistake a defensive lineman can make against you?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I think I got a lot of long arms, and I usually trapped those pretty well. Kind of got it off me, and ended up, pancaking them and ended up on top of them. So, I use the trap quite a bit if I get the long arm. So I'd say, whenever I got a long arm, I was pretty excited to pull out the trap.
When you look over your career at the FCS level, who are one or two of the best defensive linemen you've ever had to go up against?
I would say the first one that probably comes to mind is back in 2021 when we played Montana State in the semifinals. Bozeman, Daniel Hardy, their defensive end, who went in the 5th round, I believe, to the Rams, and I think he's on the Bears now. But he was a fantastic player. He was really, really quick. Used his hands really well. He was a great defensive end, and I've been in contact with him a couple times, since that game, just kind of, wishing him luck with his career and everything like that. But, he was definitely a really good player. This last year, Christian Boyd was a really good player for Northern Iowa. He's just so strong and powerful. And, he really knows how to use his leverage and use his strength to his ability. And, I think that all those D linemen on Northern Iowa were really, really, really talented this year. And then I think, Dylan Hendricks from North Dakota State, he was a really solid player too. He got a lot better, I thought, from the year before. And, he was a really good player for them this year. So just kind of off the top of my head, those are, probably some of the ones I can name.
Yeah, we had Daniel on the show before the draft, man. I mean, yeah, he was just a freak off the edge, man. I mean, just in terms of his physicality, his size, like you mentioned, all his athleticism. Outside of the national championships, listen, man, I know getting a ring is obviously the highlight of your career, especially back to back. Take away the natties. What's the number one memory from your career at South Dakota State?
Oof. There's so many, man. It was so special. It was such a special place to be. And, obviously the natties were great, but, more than anything, as far as memories go, I would say, just the guys that were in the locker room that, I got to see every day and then I got to do it all with. It might be a cliche, but that really was the best part of it. That was my favorite part of it. It was just such a special group of guys that were there and, doing all of it together. It could, honestly, every single day I could have had a favorite memory just because, with a group of guys like that, it's easy to do. So, just the messing around in the locker room, the, hanging out after practice, all that sort of stuff. That's what made, my experience at South Dakota State so amazing.
What's your favorite run concept? Like, if you got to call the play, what are you calling?
I'm going to say mid zone, as long as we have Isaiah Davis in the backfield, because he really knows how to run it pretty good. So, obviously mid zone was, our bread and butter that we did at SDSU, just because I think, the five of us up front had a really good grasp of, what we were trying to accomplish with how we blocked it. And, obviously when you have 22 and 3 in the backfield who can, make you look good, even if everything's not blocked up perfectly, it's a really good play to run, and, it can almost wear. So, I really enjoyed, when mid zone was in the play call.
How competitive were practices? I mean, you guys had one of the best offensive lines and rushing attacks, and of course, Mark was the Walter Payton Award winner, and you had arguably probably the best defense in FCS history. There's an argument for that. I mean, talk about the competitiveness day in and day out at practices. And did going into a game, you had to have known, like, we're not going to see anything better than what I saw Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think there's an argument. That was the greatest defense in FCS history. I mean, what those guys did week to week was just unbelievable. And then to answer your other question, practices were extremely competitive. With like the O&D linemen, we would be jawing at each other nonstop. And then obviously when practice was over, we were all, great friends again. But, we talked about it every single day. We're going out there to compete with each other. And, at the end, that's what ultimately made us so good and, made us better on a daily basis, was just the highly competitive environment that we were in practice. We did one-on-ones. We did good v good, all year throughout the season on Tuesday and Wednesday practice and stuff like that. We did 2-minute a lot against our defensive line. So there was a lot of competitiveness throughout each practice. And, I just think, we hit it too a lot. We were pads on, and, pads were popping, even in, week 8 or 9 or later in the season. So, yeah, it was a highly competitive environment, and that went with everything we did. Even back to winter conditioning and spring ball. Everything was competition driven, because we knew that how you get the best out of each other, and you get the best out of yourself too. So,
Man, and the final question: if an NFL franchise asks you, and I'm sure you've gotten this question behind closed doors, what will an NFL franchise get if they select Garret Greenfield in the upcoming NFL draft?
They're going to get a guy who's ready to, come and compete. He's going to come and, not be a distraction off the field or anything like that. I'm going to be a great teammate, be a great guy in the locker room. I think I'm really easy to get along with. And, I'm ready to take coaching. I think I take coaching really well. And, I'm just going to, be whatever I need to be to help the team out and help the team win games. So, yeah, just, highly competitive, ready to work, ready to take coaching and, do whatever needs to be done to help the team win.
Man, Garret, I appreciate you so much, man. I know you're a busy guy right now, man, to give me a little bit of your time during the off season, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you perform at the NFL Combine, and I'm expecting to hear your name called in the upcoming NFL Draft. Let people know real quick where they can find you on social media, to follow your draft journey, your NFL journey, man, and anything you want to promote, say to the people, man, this time is yours.
My Twitter handle right there. Go ahead and throw me a follow. And, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's ggreenfield74. So, yeah, go ahead and hit me with a follow.
Man, Garret, I appreciate it. Guys, make sure to go follow Garret on all social media, man. Like I said, one of the best offensive linemen in the entire country, not just at the FCS level, two-time national champion, three-time All-American, multiple-time All-Conference selection, guys. My guy, Garret Greenfield. But stay tuned for more episodes coming up on the Bluebloods, man. Stay tuned for FCS Football Central as well, si.com/college/FCS. But for Garret, myself, and for the Bluebloods, guys, we are out for right now.